All right, 1-1. Hey, the Lakers get a win, and they're now 1-1 on this young season, beating up on the Utah Jazz. That was really one of the games that was just not. It was not very close at all. And I got to say, I had a blast tonight. I got to be in the building for most of that game. And I was actually sitting like right next to Alan Sliwa. We were watching the game, talking about what was going on. And we just enjoying seeing the Lakers actually play a pretty decent game defensively. I wouldn't even call it a decent game defensively. I think they looked good defensively. The offense in that first half was a little bit shaky where they had very, very few points whatsoever. Both teams looked like just like going way old school with that. But the fact of the matter is that they didn't come out with the win, and the defense and offense looked way, way better in that second half, and it was just made it so it's a completely different team. And a lot of it I'm going to put on Frank Vogel, and I'm going to say thank you to Frank Vogel for changing up what was happening. He saw early on that JaVale McGee wasn't working, and I think JaVale only had something around 12 minutes in this game. He wasn't working. He was a negative on the floor, and he was able to. They took him out to start the second half, and they went small, even though they had a little bit of a lead. We were still able to. You were still seeing that he changed it up, went with Caruso instead of going with JaVale McGee, and it totally changed everything whatsoever. So it was just a lot better. It was just a much better game all the way around. Very well. And I want to say, so I was sitting next to Alan Sliwa, and we're watching KCP, and I know this is not the best place to start. KCP is never the best place to start because, he's KCP. But the fact of the matter is we're sitting there talking, and I'm like, God, this is just a really bad game. This is 2 games in a row where you just can't hit a bucket. This was in the first half, too. And he looks up to me and goes, hey, look up in the rafters. Look up in the rafters. One day you'll see KCP's name there. And I just laughed and I was like, get the hell out of here. You're such a liar. No way. Then he started laughing. It was really funny, actually, if you were there. But at the same time, get a KCP in the rafters. I mean, did you see what happened there? He made 1 free throw and everybody went crazy. It was fantastic. It was so good. But at the same time, I'm sorry. You're seeing, at least he didn't play 27 minutes. It wasn't another one of those types of games where you're like, oh, why is he still on the floor when it's at the end of the game? However, it was totally different there. Like, what did he have here? He had 19 minutes. Still too many, but in a blowout, I'm more okay with those numbers. But it's still 19 minutes. He played a lot in the second quarter. He played a lot in the fourth quarter. Another game where it's just, all right, that's a lot of KCP. But what's some of the things that are actually good that we watched, right? We watched a very, very good LeBron James. This is the LeBron James that we're really looking for. And I'm sorry about my background here. I had to run across over to my work, over to ESPN LA, but I'm not actually allowed to say that I'm in ESPN LA or have any signage or anything. So I have this blank wall behind me. So maybe one day I'll be able to what if I put like a hat here? I got my Laker hat. I can just throw it up there maybe to make it kind of feel like I'm back at home. But anyway, that's as best as I can do for you guys. But Anthony Davis, 2 different types of games. Well, there's the LeBron James side of it and there's the Anthony Davis side of it. Both of them ended up with, good numbers. Anthony Davis, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 5 blocks. 5 blocks. Huge on the defensive end. And LeBron James, when you look at just the numbers, which we don't always like to do, but we have to, 32 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists. This was what we saw from LeBron James. It was mostly the second half. He completely took over the second half of this game to really give the Lakers. This is kind of what you were expecting in the first game against the Clippers, where the Clippers and the Lakers, they're kind of working things out and they're deciding what they're going to do. It was interesting to watch some of the rotations, what they're doing. I give it up to Frank Vogel, and we were just talking about it, but Vogel he's trying different things. He's seeing who works with what and how it works. And I really enjoy actually trying to see and trying to figure out what his scheme is, because there is a scheme. And I think that's a really important thing when we're thinking about Frank Vogel, is that there is a scheme, and what he's doing kind of is starting to make sense. And I give total credit to Frank Vogel for changing up in the second half and using a different type of rotation pattern, of which they ended up going up by 22 at one point and just really blowing out this team, the Utah Jazz, which the Utah Jazz, by the way, is supposed to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference. So look, one game, just like against the Clippers, it was one game. This just didn't feel like the Utah Jazz just looked totally outmatched for most of the game. Lakers were getting hands on balls. It was just a much better defensive performance all the way around. All right, let's talk about what some of you guys want to get to. I'm going to get into AD in just a little bit of what I thought of him. Despite the numbers, there was good and there was bad from AD, but let's talk about what you guys want to talk about just a little bit. I got Mr. 3-point Shooter says KCP finally scored. Yes, on Instagram. He did. 1 point, and here you go. We all day 21. KCP, 1 point, 45 minutes. That 1 point made it. So now he has 8 fouls in the 2 games with the Lakers to 1 point, meaning that he has 8 times as many fouls as he does points in this game. And yes, he had 19 minutes tonight, 27 minutes the other night. So you're talking about 46 minutes. Way too much time to be able to say, hey, you're not scoring, and not doing much else either in that series. And there's actually a point in the third quarter where I thought, okay, maybe I'm being too tough on KCP. I'm actually going to just watch him. I stood, and it was really the third and fourth quarter. I watched just KCP, and I watched him where he was going, where he was floating to, what his offense looked like, what his defense looked like, and it was not impressive in any sense. On the offensive end, he's kind of moving around, trying to find that open spot, trying to get over into a corner, but he's being guarded for most of it, so he's not really creating much separation. And then on the defensive end, he's staying right inside the key, leaving a guy wide open in the corner, and he got beat multiple times because he left that guy wide open in the corner to be down in the block, which I get. I mean, if everybody is crashing into the middle, but they weren't really crashing into the middle, taking more jump shots around the elbows. So for him to not even be near the guys in the corners was a little concerning to me. So his defense didn't look very good to me either. I didn't see much out of KCP at all that made me think, yes, I need more of that. And that's a problem for me specifically. And I know most of you don't like KCP either. ZT Mosley, what up, Bergen? What's up, man? That guy, James A, says KCP traded in December. All right, so look, KCP is a clutch client. And he has a de facto no trade clause because he was a guy that he's signing 1-year deals. So when you are with a team and then you signed another 1-year deal, your bird rights stay here, and it's not a full no trade clause, but it's basically a no trade clause. And he can say, I don't want to move to any of those spots. And that's kind of what's probably going to happen. He has to agree to move. Now, I said it last year, but I think it can happen again this year, is that you've made a lot of money with the Lakers. You're not going to get a lot of playing time to spend, depending on how much people are actually, are getting playing time. When guys like Troy Daniels are hitting wide open 3-point shots, and Avery Bradley's playing well and usually is your starter for the most part. Alex Caruso is getting a start in the second half against these types of teams. He's going to start taking into your minutes. So a lot of the things that's happening here is that they are going to be KCP is not going to get a lot of minutes. Those numbers are going to start to drop. 27 minutes, 19 minutes, and that number is going to continue to fall, especially if he can't hit wide open 3-pointers. There's been a couple of times where, he looks good off of the dribble, where he's a pass to get wide open for a point blank 3-point shot. Totally misses. The shot just does not work. Blake Sinclair, Greg broadcasting from his witness protection location. Yeah, I mean, it's not too far off from that. I got let's see. Caustic 187 says, Greg, what do you think the missing piece is? I think this squad could be next level with a true point or an upgrade on any guard spot. Well, there's a lot of different guard spots that are available. And yes, they do need another ball handler. The problem is that you're not seeing, look, Quinn Cook, I'm not calling him a ball handler. That's not who he is. He is not much of a playmaker. He's a shot creator. He's a shot maker, but he's not a ball handler slash playmaker. So I don't consider him a point guard, even though they kind of use him as a secondary point guard. When it comes to Avery Bradley, not much of a ball handler either. I think they need more of that, and there's only a couple guys that can really do that. Alex Caruso did a decent job at that. I didn't think he could do it so well, but it was a little bit better. And when it comes to Alex Caruso, this is the first thing I think about, and maybe you guys can see it differently. But look, I play NBA 2K. I've been playing a good amount for the last couple nights, so I'm just starting getting back into it because I just got the game. But I'm playing it, and I feel like Alex Caruso is my NBA 2K20 player. And what I mean by that is, like, I'm not that good yet. I'm like a 73, 74 ranked player, and they put me on the Bucks. And, you have Giannis and a couple other, and Chris Middleton and a bunch of other guys that are playing really well. And I'm kind of just trying to fit my way in and not doing much on the offensive end. I'm tapping away. I have a PS4, so I'm tapping away on that triangle button, being like, hey, I'm open. But I'm not actually getting the passes to me. And when I do, I, kind of drop it here or there. I'm getting stripped, or I'm just not all that great yet. I'm also not a very good, I'm not a very good PS4 player in general, but at the same time, on 2K19, I was way, way better. And but like, that's who I feel like. It's, short white guy that just is supposed to be there for shooting and to drive to the basket. And he's doing that exact same thing. I'll have a nice defensive play. He'll have a nice defensive play where he has a steal or a nice rebound or whatever it happens to be. But he's just not quite good enough to make it in. And at some point, you expect like, oh, I'm going to be a 90 at some point. I'm going to take over the league. And that's what's going to happen with Alex Caruso. What he ends up being towards the end of the year is kind of up for grabs, but that's who he reminds me of right now, is my 2K20 player. Anyway, so yes, I think we're missing a ball handler that's outside of LeBron James. I mean, Anthony Davis cannot be your secondary ball handler either. I think there's also some perimeter defense that's missing as well, although we're seeing this was a much better game for perimeter defense, where they were holding the Utah Jazz down pretty good. If you look at their 3-point percentage, awful. I mean, awful. To the point of 8 of 25. That's not going to get it done. And they did a great job of holding them down. That anytime you're low 30s, holding a team to low 30s in 3-point range, you're doing a good job. Yes, they were missing some shots, but they were getting out and trying to contest those shots at the same time. There was a great one in the fourth quarter where Danny Green was out of the play and dove in to get a hand and disrupt the shot from, I believe it was George Niang. And that was a great play. And what makes Danny Green such a great player. Now, on the flip side, you have the Lakers didn't really shoot too great from 3-point range either, but the guys that hit them with regularity. Troy Daniels was 4 for 5 from 3-point range, and that's why he's going to get more playing time in the next game, because he's going to hit 3-point shots. The other guys, like Danny Green, was not as good as the game before, but still he did enough, and he had positive numbers elsewhere. All right, let's go back over to Instagram. Nick Hamilton, LA. Lakers flowed better in this game. Yes, they absolutely did, and the flow was much better in the second half, especially, where that game was pretty close. It was tight, and the Lakers were still up, but the fact of the matter is that LeBron James came out as a man on a mission and took over the game. 32 points, 10 assists, 7 boards. He was finding wide open guys. He was hitting his jump shots. He was doing a lot of the things that you need to have happen to actually, you can see why this Lakers team can be so dangerous, because of how their defense did play tonight against a top-ranked team. Don't get it twisted. This is a top-ranked Utah team that is going to be in the top 4 easily in the Western Conference. So a lot better to see that tonight. Now, on the other side, Anthony Davis, who, while he did have 21 points, a lot of his points were a little bit odd. He was good from the free throw line. I don't think he missed one from the free throw line, which is great. A big man hitting 7 of 7. Also, let's talk about LeBron James again. 7 of 8 from the free throw line for LeBron James. Huge, huge upgrade. Anthony Davis also 7 of 7 from those. So that's 7 points. He's down to 14. A lot of those were dunks. He had 3 or 4 dunks, plus also an easy trip to the basket that gave him another basket. He also had that one where he was trying to throw a pass in and it just to Danny Green and it just went in, so he got there as well. Besides that, his jump shot was bad. I don't think he hit maybe more than one jump shot in this entire game, and that's a big problem of what we're talking about. We talked about it on Mason in Ireland. We talked about it last game against the Clippers, that this is a team that needs to have Anthony Davis hitting his jump shot to be successful. It didn't happen tonight, but he was still able to find his way to the basket in other ways and get to the free throw line to hit his free throws, which much better than last year. Much better than last year. But his jumper is what's causing me an issue. And I was talking about it with Alan as well. He's fading back on every single one of those. He just doesn't seem confident. I know he's working with Mike Penberthy, and if Mike Penberthy is maybe changing his shot, maybe changing it now is not working out. I don't know what it is. I think that'll all work itself out. I'm not worried about it, but that's something to look at going forward and something to actually watch on Sunday. How is his jump shot? All right, so on YouTube, I got, what's your name? ZT Mosley, Braun was great on defense tonight. I thought he was good last week, but it took it up a notch tonight. Yes, he's been much better, especially in transition defense. That's when he's really been much better. Tan Marino 13 on Twitch. Impressed with Daniels' defense. Wasn't expecting the hands. Also shadowed Conley well, working together and around screens. Very impressive. Troy Daniels was way better tonight than any other guard out there for the most part. So I would love to see more Troy Daniels. I think that was the guy that most people were a little bit didn't want to see. And I think this is what you're going to see with Frank Vogel, is he's going to go with the guys that are starting to play in the flow of the offense much better. And I think that's it. Whoever's the hot hand, that's the guy that's going to be going. And you can see he's changing things up. I like that. It's early in the year. You want to see who works with who, what works with what. And KCP is not the one to be working with, as everybody is pointing out. Yes, I know KCP is bad. But Alex Caruso was getting some of those minutes. He got 20 points, or 20 minutes. KCP had 21 minutes. So those numbers, but a lot of those minutes, just be careful. A lot of those minutes came in the fourth quarter when everybody was out because you were up by 20. So much better, easier that way. R. Henderson 311 says, Mason broke the curse. You know what? Fine. Let's say it. Mason broke the curse. He broke it last night because he was at the game against the LAFC, with the LAFC against the Galaxy. LAFC won. He was at the game tonight. The Lakers won. So he's essentially broken the curse. The soccer game last night was the breaking of the curse. Let's call it. Also, let's talk about it when it comes to the playoffs, and then we can bring this whole curse thing back up because I really love the bit. It makes me laugh every single time. Let's go back over to Blake St. Clair. Thin your hair out and you could be AC. Well, yeah, that's who I basically am on 2K20 anyway, so yeah, maybe, why not? Jonathan Watson, 0984. Caruso is 2020 Von Wafer on NBA Live 05. Ant H on YouTube says Jamal Crawford would be a good to come off the bench. Here's the thing with Jamal Crawford. He is 38, 39 years old. He can score the basketball. Easy. He is great at putting the bucket. He is a bucket maker. That's what he does. He doesn't play any defense whatsoever. He is slow, right, especially on the defensive end, but he is still a guy that can shoot. What you're going to do, you can't just cut anybody right now. The team, this Lakers team, is all new guys. The only guys that you would be able to cut would have to be either LeBron or Kyle Kuzma, and everything else won't be able to happen until at least December 15th. And on December 15th, most likely we'll have an idea if anybody's going to go, and guess who's not? The clutch guy. The clutch guy in KCP not going to go anywhere unless they can find a trade partner for him that he agrees to. If his minutes are down to like 10 minutes a game and he can go somewhere else and get 20 minutes a game, maybe he'll go. I mean, that's kind of just hopeful on my part, but that's where I want him to be. Dinesh Ronaldo Jr. 7. Do you think LeBron James show the world who is the best player in the NBA? One game. He was not good against a very, very good defense in the Los Angeles Clippers. So no, I don't think this game will be that game for him. I think he's still the best player in the world, although Kawhi Leonard is right there. And I think Anthony Davis can be that too if he can have a jump shot. Dinesh again says we need Kyle Kuzma and we will be really, really, really good. Yes, Kuzma should be coming back soon. He is getting better daily from what I'm understanding. And what I'm hearing from all the practice reports and all Mike Trudell is saying and everybody else that's there is that he's running around. He's making moves. You have to move from 1-on-1 to 2-on-2, and there has to be contact practices before he can actually play in a game, and he hasn't done too much of that contact practicing yet. Once he does that, then you'll start seeing a little bit more Kyle Kuzma. Sorry, it's thirsty. God, sometimes when you talk a lot, you need something to drink. Joel B23, this team's going to be dangerous when Kuz comes back. That's basically the same thing he was saying. Mixed Sauce 2, how much does this win validate Vogel's film coordinator background with our defensive adjustments? That's a very in-depth question. It's a tough question, but from what I understand, they were watching film after the Clipper game every single night, and they looked at it and they said, these are all fixable issues. These are about defensive rotations to getting to guys on the corners, getting to guys on the short corners to stop the 3-point game, being able to get inside where who is going to guard on the switches, on the pick and rolls, especially with guys like Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell who were killing the Lakers with their pick and roll. So they watched it and they said, these are easy fixes and we're going to see some of those. And that's what's happening. You're starting to see some of the fixes that they've been doing by watching the film of the game against the Clippers, saying, we had a chance at that game. We just blew it. And here's the thing. They did. They had a chance in the fourth quarter. That game was tied in the fourth quarter. You had 12 minutes to win that game, and they just didn't get it done. The Clippers were better, and the Clippers were damn good in that game too. But those were fixable issues. They're still in terms of playing together, a young team. The only thing that they've played together, they played 2 regular season games, and 2 regular season games is not enough to really judge what you're seeing. But I like the fact that, yes, so to validate Frank Vogel's film coordinator background and with his defensive adjustments, yes, it did, because now you're starting, they're changed those things. And then on his offensive scheme, he's changing his lineups in order to see what fits for that game. JaVale McGee getting killed, didn't play again. I don't know if he got hurt. If someone sees that he got hurt, please let me know. Donnie Ekbodi says AD needs to stay at the 5. Of course he does. And Chris Bosh, by the way, just a couple days ago on First Things First on Fox Sports 1, which crazy that I'm actually going to promote that show, but he was on that show and he said this exact same thing that Donnie was just saying. He said, look, when I got to Miami, I needed to change the way that I think about the game. I need to change the way that I play and say that I have to embrace being the 5 and playing center on this team. And that's when we started winning. And he said that's the exact same thing that Anthony Davis has to do. He understands where he's coming from. He understands that he doesn't want to play the 5, but no matter what, for this team to be successful, it's not having Dwight Howard on the floor. It's not having JaVale McGee on the floor. It's having Anthony Davis in that spot. And especially when the game matters. And so that's what we're talking about. So, and yes, Caustic 187, yeah, boo, First Things First, whatever. That's a Fox show. I'm ESPN, whatever. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, I was listening to Chris Bosh. When Chris Bosh talks, who played with LeBron, was the 5, played the same position as Anthony Davis, I listened to what he's saying because he played in that exact same role. So I was happy to hear what he was talking about with that. And hopefully that gets through to AD, and he says, I'm going to play more 5. Jay Longshore, 25, is THT healthy? Would like to see Vogel give him 5 to 10 minutes from time to time. Look, he is a rookie. He is not healthy. He was not healthy in the preseason. I would not expect to see anything out of THC for quite some time, if at all. I don't know what he can even do. Nobody knows what he can do because he hasn't played in Summer League. He hasn't played in preseason, and he's not going to play this year either. If anything, they'll move him down into the G League and let him try and get some time there. But I don't expect much from THT this year at all. And there's no reason to just throw him in there and give him 5 to 10 minutes because he was a second round pick. That doesn't doesn't work for me. I want the guys that need to be out there. People are clamoring for Alex Caruso, and he just got his first playing time in the second quarter of Game 2, and, played pretty well defensively for the most part. Offensively, he's still trying to figure everything out, but he didn't play poorly. Let's see. Ease 001. I thought Caruso was great defensively. Yeah, he was fine. I have no problem with what he did there. Let's see. Tan Marino 13. Kuz should sleepwalk to 18. Look, if Kuz is what I think he's going to be, and all of you think he's going to be, then this is going to be a very, very dangerous team. Because most of the time, when you're watching this game, without Kyle Kuzma and without Rajon Rondo, who is a ball handler. I mean, as much as we don't like him, his defense isn't there. His offense is not what it used to be. His shot is, up and down. You don't really know what you're going to get from game to game. The difference is Kuz is going to put up points. And when you're watching these games, the first game against the Clippers and tonight against Utah, you were saying to yourself, or at least I was saying to myself, I'm assuming you were too, was that who's going to score on this team right now? When Anthony Davis and LeBron James are off the floor at the same time, which was not very long, only a couple minutes in between the second and third quarter, or the first and second quarters, and at the beginning of the second quarter, end of first quarter, and a little bit, in that same range of end of third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter, or in the fourth, and certain times when they weren't on the floor at all, but it was very little until the game was out of hand. Who's going to score at that point? Troy Daniels had a couple shots that he made. I don't really trust Quinn Cook yet. I don't really trust anybody else really to score from those guys. So that's where Kyle Kuzma comes in, where he's going to hit jump shots, and he's going to find his way to the basket, and he's going to hit, and he's going to be the offense. He may not play the best defense, but he is your offense, so you can actually sit LeBron and Anthony Davis for longer stretches of time because you know that somebody on the floor can score. And what happens now is instead of everyone's going to focus on Kuzma, then they're going to leave open guys like Quinn Cook in a corner, or Troy Daniels in a corner, or Alex Caruso, or Jared Dudley, or whoever who happens to be getting those minutes when Anthony Davis and LeBron James are off the floor. Kuzma's going to help fix that second team, and that's why most people believe that he has a shot at being Sixth Man of the Year, because when he comes in, he can be a walking bucket, and that would be a huge, huge help to this team, because look what happened. When LeBron James and Anthony Davis were on the floor, the offense stalled for the most part. I mean, there just wasn't anybody. Do you trust KCP hitting shots? I sure don't. No way. Jeremy Chan, wow, I finally can watch you live. Well, thanks for being here. Let's see. Jeremy Chan also says AD needs a jumper. He needs to work on that. Donnie Ekbodi says Lakers next 10 games versus Charlotte, versus Memphis, at Dallas, at San Antonio, at Chicago, versus Miami, versus Toronto, at Phoenix, versus Golden State, versus Sacramento. All right. Thank you for putting all those out there for me, Donnie. But most of those games are winnable. Charlotte, absolutely winnable. Memphis, absolutely winnable. Should actually win those games. You should be 3-1 going into at Dallas. At Dallas is a tough place to play. They have a very good young team. I love Luka Doncic. Kristaps Porzingis is playing well. They have a very good young team that has a chance to be in the playoffs. I still think you can win that game. And I think they're better than all of these other teams that are out here where they're all winnable games, but they're still trying to figure everything out. They're still trying to figure out the rotations. I don't think they're going to go 10-0 by any means, but Charlotte, Memphis, easy wins. Chicago should be a win. Miami could be tough unless Jimmy Butler's not playing. Toronto's going to be tough. Phoenix should be a win. Golden State does not look good. That should be a win. And Sacramento should also be a win. I don't think they're playing all that great a ball either. That should be at least 7-3 in the next 10 games, which, fine. If you're going to have me 8-4 through 12 games in the season, I'm totally okay with that. I don't expect them to win every game. I expect this to take time. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they lose some of those other games as well. It's still too early. Give it 20 games. And I think that's what we really need to just understand, is that 20 games is that number. Tan Marino 13. Kuz should sleepwalk plus a night and with the squad coming off the bench. Absolutely. We were just talking about that. The bulletin board says, has Dwight always played this physical? He usually is very physical, but I've enjoyed what I've seen from Dwight. Look, I was very much against everything Dwight Howard. He still looks slow to me. He still is not fully as the same guy that he once was, and I don't really expect him to be that. But Dwight Howard in the game against the Clippers did exactly what I wanted him to. He had like 6 boards, 3 points. He did get blocked from behind one time, but he wasn't all that bad. Tonight, he played 19 minutes. Again, 2 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, look, fine. Be physical. I mean, even with the fouls that he had, I was fine with those. He had 5 rebounds, I believe, in the first half that were all just going for balls over the smaller guys that are on Utah. I think he got a couple over Rudy Gobert as well, who was completely silent, by the way. I don't know. Rudy Gobert was gone, in my opinion. 32 minutes, and he only had 8 points. 8 points, 9 rebounds. That's a huge night against a guy like Rudy Gobert. The height for the Lakers really, really helped in that situation. And also because Donovan Mitchell was the guy that wanted to just take over, and he couldn't fully put that together. But Dwight Howard did exactly what I kind of wanted him to do. He was going after loose rebounds. He was trying to get offensive rebounds. He was trying to get defensive rebounds. He was being the shot blocker, rebounder, put back maker, if you want to call it that. And that's all I've ever wanted from him. So it makes me happy. Like I'm okay with what I'm seeing from Dwight Howard. And I think that's a huge help to this team, because when JaVale McGee is being outplayed, that's where Dwight comes in. And just real fast, when it comes to JaVale McGee, this is not the right offense for JaVale. He's not enjoying this offense right now. You can see it in his face. A lot of times he's getting into the middle of the paint and he's like wide open and putting his hands up, and guys just aren't seeing him yet, which is all part of kind of working together, playing together, seeing what's going to happen with everyone. But it's just he's not being found yet for these easy putback dunks that he was getting, especially in the preseason. Laker banter. Should we be concerned about the Lakers offense? Look, no, absolutely not, because they played 2 of the best defensive teams in basketball over the last couple of years. The Clippers, I think, may be the best defensive team in all of basketball. So because they've looked really, really friggin' good. And Utah last year was one of the top defenses in basketball. So to hold the Lakers to 95 points. Yeah, you're still also missing a lot of your scoring. You're missing Kyle Kuzma. And when Kuzma comes back, those numbers are going to start going up. Look, don't worry about the offense with this team. The offense will show up. The offense will be there at some point. You're going to find LeBron James is going to get his 20 to 30 points every single night. Anthony Davis is going to get his 20 to 30 points every single night. And if Kyle Kuzma comes back and he's getting 16, 18, 20 points also every single night, along with guys like Danny Green hitting 9, or some random 3-point shooter, whether it's Troy Daniels, Quinn Cook, yes, KCP, whoever it happens to be, getting, 12, 15 points, all on 3-pointers, the offense will be there. There will be enough there to find that you're going to get over 100 points most nights, and they'll be one of the better offensive teams in the league. It's the fact of the matter that this defense looks good, and that you held Utah to 80-something points? 80, I'm blocked on my numbers here, but it's 86 points. Yeah, so you held Utah to 86. That's good. They weren't missing anybody but Bojan Bogdanovic, which is, yes, good player and could easily get you 20 points as well. But that's out kind of in the flow of the offense, all that kind of stuff too. That's all they were missing was Bojan Bogdanovic. Their main scorers were there. Mike Conley Jr., Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Joe Ingles is a real big part of your offense, and those guys weren't scoring. Donovan Mitchell had 24. Conley had 13, and those came late because he hit a 3-pointer late, and then he was 6 of 6 from the free throw line. So he wasn't scoring outside of that. After going 1 of 16, he went 3 of 11 tonight, and 1 of 5 from 3-point range. Conley doesn't seem right, and so you were able to hold him as well. Donovan Mitchell wasn't getting off enough. Rudy Gobert was basically non-existent. He didn't even hit double-digit points. This is a lot. So the defense is what I'm really focused on and seeing that I'm happy with. Kobe Sai on YouTube. When are we getting Iggy? Probably not, at least until December, because there's nobody. You can't cut anybody. You're not going to just cut anybody. I mean, I guess you could technically. I don't think you can cut anybody, but you may be able to. But nobody at least until December 15th. Thirsty. BI14 GOAT. Love what I'm seeing of D39. Not pouting, playing hard D, and getting rebounds. Yep. That's all you want from him. Blake St. Clair, realistically, Lakers could go 10-0. They could, absolutely. They're good enough to go 10-0. Look, they're good enough to beat anybody in this entire league. They're good enough to go, they're 82-0. That's obviously not going to happen. They're going to lose games. They're going to lose easily 10 to 20 games this year. So I'm not even 25 to 30, anywhere between 15 and 30 games they're going to lose this year. It's just going to happen. They're still in a spot. A lot of it is going to be early because they're still trying to figure everybody out. Let's see. I got __O says, shout out David from Showtime Forum. He's shouting himself out, but yes, definitely shout out David Portillo. Who, if you see any of those memes, all of those are David Portillo, and he is just killing it on the memes. I mean, constantly in the Slack, just meme, gif. He's absolutely destroying everything, and I love what I'm seeing from him. So thank you, David. Appreciate that. McSauce 2, thanks, Greg. Always the best. This season has been so fun already. Such a roller coaster in 2 games. Look, you say roller coaster. The game against the Clippers was a ton of fun. Look, they lost. Yes, I get it. And the fourth quarter was kind of odd with their rotations and trying to figure things out. LeBron couldn't score in the fourth quarter. Anthony Davis couldn't score in the fourth quarter. But that game was still a lot of fun. It was back and forth, taking leads, 10-point leads, 13-point leads, dropping them down. You were tie game going into the fourth quarter. It all came down to 12 minutes, and then all of a sudden, I mean, yeah, it ended up poorly, but that game was fun. It felt like a playoff game. I was really excited about that game. And then this game, it was the exact opposite. There was not much offense at all in the first half, and in the second half, it all pushed forward, and they were able to get over to 95 points, which very, very low. But that's what happens when you only score like 40, when it goes 36 or something like that going into halftime, which I can't find at the moment, but I believe it was something crazy like that. I don't have it right in front of me. I don't feel like looking for it either. But so yeah, it's fun to watch the Lakers again. I think that's what we really need to focus on, is that when we're watching the Lakers this year, we're watching a team. We're watching a good team. You can see the guys floating around, finding their ways into the corners. They're where they're supposed to be. Sometimes the offense does get a little stagnant, especially in the half court. But at the same time, you can actually see that plays are being run. There's ball movement. Sometimes, and this is still pretty early, but sometimes there is some stagnation when it comes between Anthony Davis and LeBron, where they're playing a 2-man game. And whether it works or it doesn't work, you're still seeing it. And I think that's what's concerning for some people. But the fact is, they're going to be a very, very good team and a very, very tough out all the way through. Donovan Bryant 8 says Phoenix looks pretty good, actually. They're still young, but now when you just lost the big center, I'm blanking on his name right now, but you lost him for 25 games for... That's going to be a big... DeAndre Ayton, you lost him for 25 games for having a wrong substance in his body. That's going to hurt them because that's your big man, and that's a big part of your offense and a lot of your young guys. So they're going to take a giant fall. Let's go to Laker Facts. What's up, Laker Facts? Maybe with Caruso on the floor now, he'll get a few more lobs or layups. Yes, hopefully, putback maker. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of them. I'm sure you're talking about from the big men, from AD, from Dwight Howard, from JaVale McGee. With Caruso on the floor, I think we're all excited about what we can see from Caruso, but I'm still a little bit wary about him, and I still don't think he's going to get a ton of minutes, but he can work himself into those minutes by playing good defense, which he did do tonight, and hitting open shots and getting to the bucket and hitting and making his layups, because he gets kind of stuffed the layup a little bit more than he should. Abel Carlin says, have you heard anything on Andre Iguodala? The only things I've heard from Andre Iguodala was from Jackie McMullen when she was on a podcast where she was saying that he's coming to the Lakers. Besides that, everything I hear is if he does get bought out, and when he gets bought out is totally up to Memphis. If they're going to try and trade him, if they don't trade him, then he has to be bought out, and that's probably not going to happen until around December 15th. They're not going to just let him go, which is a good thing actually for him, because he's getting up there in age, 36, 37 years old. I don't remember the exact age for him, but he's getting up there in age. And so if he's coming in halfway through the season, opposed to at the beginning of the season, you have fresher legs when you get to the postseason when you really want him to be fresh, opposed to playing for an entire season and being tired. So I'm fine with him waiting a little while, but all that's going to do, if he does come to the Lakers, is just make their defensive rotations that much better, their perimeter defense that much better, and really just be able to hit a wide open three every once in a while. Laker facts: Cook and Dwight getting extra shots up after game. Love to see it. This is something that we're seeing that's totally different too, and Laker facts pointing it out. I like. I've seen every time I see Dwight Howard is after a game, before a game, in practice, shooting free throws. He missed both of them tonight, but he's shooting free throws. He's putting up extra work. Quinn Cook doing the exact same thing. This is a totally different workman-like team where it's a championship. They want a championship this year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This isn't like, okay, if we make it into the playoffs, then that's all we care about. No. This team is ready to win now. They are ready to be NBA champions this year. They were 3-1 favorites at the beginning of the year, according to Bovada. This is not a team that's just going to go out there and just try and have a good time and it doesn't matter. They're actually going out there to win, and I like seeing that from my teams. SoCal King 32. Once AC gets one of those put-back dunks, then I think he wakes up on offense. Hopefully, but he's got to just play within the flow of the offense, play like everybody else, be the slasher that he is, find his way to open into the by slashing to the basket, getting open, and getting out. If he doesn't get there, get out to a three-point shot into the corner, be able to hit those when you are available, just like Troy Daniels did tonight, and just like Danny Green did the night before against the Clippers. Those are the important things that need to happen. Julian Lakers 23 says it was 43-37 Lakers at halftime. Thank you. That's exactly what I was looking at. Don't you think that's a little low for a half? That's extremely low for a half. That's not a little low. That's very, very low for a half. And to be able to go up by 22 just shows what LeBron James was able to bring in the second half, because it was 43-37, and then LeBron took over the entire second half and said, we're winning this game. And now the Lakers are 1-1. Much, much better out of them. Devon Johnson, what's up, man? Devon Johnson, by the way, just put out on Showtime Forum. He has a new thing for Showtime Forum, is the Showtime Report that's going to come out every Friday. Go check out the one that's there now. It's on YouTube, Instagram. It's on Twitter. I think it's on Facebook as well. Go find the new Showtime Report with Devon Johnson. Really, really funny, really good stuff. So go check out Devon Johnson with that. Is there any chance Boogie comes back in the playoffs? I mean, we'll see. I don't have a great answer on that. It really just depends on what happens with his health. If he comes back and he is not injured anymore, if they're going to use him as a designated player exception, depends on what happens with his court case. There's a lot of things that need to happen with Boogie Cousins, and I would not expect him, but maybe, possibly. I don't have a great answer on that one. I haven't paid as much attention to that, and I'm not going to lie to you about it. Luna Laker 24. How does the rotation look once we get Rondo and Kuzma back? I think you're going to see guys fall out of the rotation. I think that guys like KCP are going to lose minutes because they're just not playing well. I think they'll still get their minutes, but they're going to go out. Jared Dudley probably going to go below 10 minutes a game, not going to get a lot of time. I don't think you're going to see, maybe Alex Caruso could start losing some of those minutes because that's a point guard position. I would love to see more of him. But if Troy Daniels is continuing to hit his three-point shot, then he's going to be in there instead of Caruso. If Caruso's offense doesn't get better, he won't be in there, but his defense is pretty good. I think you're going to start losing minutes on some of those types of guys. I'm trying to look at who else. Yeah, Zach Norvell was in there for 3 minutes, missed a shot. He's not going to get a lot. He's not going to get any playing time. But when Kuzma comes out, you're also going to lose other people. They're going to lose. That's another guy that's going to take away from. I think the minutes between McGee and Howard are going to continue to stay below 20 minutes a game, and that's basically what's going to happen. So you're going to see a lot of guys that you're seeing right now. They're all just seeing who's fitting well with who's finding their way to the corners, who's open and hitting their three-point shots. Those are what the important parts are. Giorgio Armani, Greg, how do you feel about JaVale? I like JaVale, and I was talking about this a little bit earlier, but I don't think this offense at the moment is best fit for him. He likes an offense that was kind of like the Warriors offense, kind of like last year's run and gun offense with Lonzo and BI and Kuzma and Hart and those guys that were always pushing up the floor, and he was getting wide open dunks and being that type of guy, just kind of cleaning up the glass. You're not seeing that as much because the guys cleaning up the glass are LeBron and Anthony Davis, especially in their two-man game. So I don't know how much this offense fits JaVale. I'm hoping that as the season progresses and they start figuring out what the best way, where JaVale figures out the best place for him to be, to get more putbacks, to get more blocks, to get more rebounds, then I think he'll be okay. But as of right now, he's depending on the night, depending on who the bigs are, his minutes are going to go down pretty heavily. He only had 12 tonight. He had 19 the night before, or against the Clippers a couple nights ago. So he's really not getting a lot of time. And tonight, I think, was the first time that Dwight Howard, they might have been even, or Dwight might have had a little bit more time. Dwight was just better on the offensive and defensive rebound. So that's why he got more. You're going to see both of those happening a lot. Yasmini Glamour says, hi. Donnie Ekbodi, we ran 3 pick and rolls between Braun and AD all game. This is an interesting thing. It didn't work against the Clippers, and the Clippers played great defense with just crowding into the paint. But the reason that the pick and roll isn't working, and this is what I think at least, 3 pick and rolls is not enough. When we saw it in preseason, the pick and roll, again, it depends on the team. When you have a shot blocker like Rudy Gobert in there, some of that stuff can change. But to run the pick and roll correctly, Anthony Davis needs to be able to roll and hit a 3-point shot. A pick and roll is not always rolling to the basket. You need to be able to step out and hit a shot that's 15, 20 feet away, or a 3-pointer, or whatever it happens to be, depending on where you start the picking process. If he steps out and is 15 to 20 feet and he's missing those jump shots, the pick and roll is not going to work, and they're just going to crowd into the middle of the paint, and he's not going to be able to roll towards the basket, and that all goes away. So I don't mind that they didn't run that many pick and rolls because it was being stopped consistently and it wasn't working. So at this point, until he can start hitting his jump shots with continuity, I think they're just going to kind of go away from that. But when that happens, when he starts hitting that, which I do believe he will, then that pick and roll is going to be nasty. Let's see. Isaiah V98925184, which is a bunch of numbers. What do you think of staggering AD's minutes at the 5 due to his own health concerns? I'm fine with that, but when it matters the most, when you're getting into the fourth quarter and you want to go a little bit smaller, and you don't want to have Dwight or JaVale and LeBron and AD and having these big, 6'8" to 7 footers, you want to go a little bit shorter, then you want to have Kuzma out there, who's also 6'8", but still can play smaller. I think especially if you want to have Kuzma out in those, I think staggering those minutes, as long as he plays a little bit of the 5, I think that's going to be important. We were just talking about this a second ago. Chris Bosh was talking about it, that he has to embrace it. And when he embraces it, it's going to be better for the team. It's going to be better for him. It's going to be better for him and LeBron. He will play more 5, and he did play a bunch of 5 tonight. JCap, no, I can't, and I'm not going to answer that question. F backs VIII, which maybe is FBA 13. AD and Braun pick and roll should be the main focus of the offense. I like AD at the 5. It should be, but for those reasons that I was just explaining, he needs to be able to hit the jump shot. And he hasn't with any regularity. I don't know if he hit 1 tonight. I think he only hit 1 or 2 in the game against the Clippers. So once he starts hitting those and they can stop crowding the paint, then maybe you can start doing a little bit more of that. Let's see. How did you like Vogel's adjustments? I thought the adjustments were great. And we talked about this before. Vogel's adjustments in the second half were way better. It made more sense of what's happening here. You saw when they brought in Caruso and took out JaVale, that was a reason they went smaller. And when they did that, they had guys that fit more into LeBron, the way that LeBron plays. When shooters were out there, you had Caruso, Bradley, and Danny Green all around the outside that you have to be aware of. Whether they hit their shots or not, you have to be aware of them. It opens up the middle for LeBron and AD, and when you see those guys all they're able to play, maybe not so much pick and roll, but where they can, there's lob dunks, there's passes down low. They can play a two-man game into the middle of the paint because guys need to step out. Because if they pass out to Danny Green, who had 28 points on Tuesday, you have to be aware of him. Or even with Avery Bradley, who I believe hit a couple of shots from three-point range, maybe one or two. Yeah, one. But guys hitting three-pointers, and when Troy Daniels out there, he was making all of them. So there's always going to be at least one of those guys a night that's doing that. So I love the adjustment of what's happening. Were they Vogel or Kidd's adjustments? SoCal King 32. Look, I know everybody thinks that Jason Kidd is the voice. I believe that they all kind of talk together. Look, there's 3 head coaches on this team. You have Frank Vogel, Lionel Hollins, and Jason Kidd all talking amongst each other. So whether it's Jason Kidd's or it's Frank Vogel's, Frank Vogel is going to get the credit. It's the same thing that happened last year when you had Luke Walton, and he was talking to his, college coaches that he loved to have to help with rotations. It went on Luke, no matter what, whether it worked or it didn't work. Luke got the credit or the blame. So the same thing's going to happen here. Just like in the game against the Clippers in the fourth quarter, when the defensive and the offensive rotations, just the player rotations altogether in the fourth quarter against the Clippers were terrible. They were just horrendous, where you didn't see LeBron James and Anthony Davis together until about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, when you were already down by 10 and the game was essentially over. So he got blamed for that. You got to give him the credit for it here in this game, especially starting with the second quarter or the third quarter, because look what happened. They blew out the Jazz, who is a very, very good team. Let's see. You got Laker Fanatic says that's called a pick and pop. Yes, pick and pop. Yeah, I get it. You're saying that there's the roll too. Yeah, it's the same, but that's all part of it. Those are all kind of work together. It's called the pick and pop, bro. Yeah, look, I get it that it's a pick and pop, pick and roll. Those are still all part of it, because you have to be able to do the same. You can't run the same play over and over again. It doesn't always essentially work that way. And yes, AB was great defensively from DF Scam 313. And Avery Bradley has been, and that's kind of what he was brought in for, was to be a good defensive replacement. But the same thing, as long as it all works, and I understand, yes, pick and pop, but if he's not hitting his jump shots, you can't have the role when everybody is not respecting his jump shot at all, and they're not falling. You don't have to agree with me, totally fine, but that's how I feel about it. I'm just about 10 minutes left, maybe a little bit left. Snap It Spanish says, defense looked good, but I can't seem to see what type of offense they're trying to run. It's basically a two-man game at this point, but with the other guys stepping out onto the corners and trying to be open for 3-point shots and hitting them, and I think that's the important thing. SoCal King 32, would you say that the players would go to Kidd for basketball adjustments over Vogel during a timeout? I think a lot of people are saying that's what's happening there because Jason Kidd, look, you have a head coach in Jason Kidd being an assistant coach. That happens in a lot of places. So yes, I'm sure they are going to him, but at the same time, it's very difficult. I'm giving my credit to Frank Vogel. I think that that Jason Kidd is a very big portion of this, whether I like him or not. I think he has a lot of say in what's happening on the offensive end, especially with some of the rotation, some of the different offensive plays. But I think Lionel Hollins has a lot of his hands in the defensive portion of it. And here's the thing, that's very much what Lionel Hollins and Frank Vogel are known for. They're known for their defense. They're known for their defensive schemes and game plans. And Jason Kidd was always more of the offensive guy. So don't you kind of want that? It's what we hated about Luke Walton, was the fact that he didn't have an offensive guy to talk to. Their defense was always, semi-decent, but at the same time, you wanted him to have somebody to talk to help with the offense, and he didn't have that. So now you have Jason Kidd to do that to help with the offense. I'm okay with them going to talk to Jason Kidd about the offense, as long as they're playing great defense on the other end. Caustic 187, KCP, JaVale, and Young Greek Freak for Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is about to, or did just sign a gigantic contract. He's not going anywhere. Snap It Spanish says, I guess I'm just comparing to what the Clippers are doing, more fluent offense, and didn't finish that. Yes. They're also played together for a few years. A lot of that is the same Clippers team that just added Kawhi Leonard and just added in Paul George, who's not even there yet. So that's going to take a little bit of adjustment time for them as well. And Kawhi Leonard kind of fits into everything. So the same type of deal. When it comes to the Clippers, they were the same team essentially as last year. The same team that took the Warriors with that was the full Warriors team: Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, to 6 or 7 games. I forget exactly what it was. I believe it was 7 games even. Same team. So, and same defensive team. And I think that's why that's more important. So like an offensive and defensive coordinator, SoCal King. Yes, basically exactly how it is. And that's what we killed. Like I've said it a couple times, but that's why we killed Luke Walton last year, because they didn't have that. So I'm happy that this Lakers team will have that. All right, I'm just going to finish this up pretty quickly here. I'm only going to answer one more question from each spot, and then I'm going to get out of here. It is 11 o'clock. I want to go home. I have not been home for quite some time, so that's where it's time for me to go. Laker banter, game on the line. Who do we run offense through for last shot? Laker banter, it depends on where you are at. If Anthony Davis is hitting jump shots, LeBron is the guy with the ball in his hands. He's going to make the right decision. I think that's what we've seen throughout his entire career, is that he will pass off if he needs to. So I want the ball in LeBron's hand, game on the line, whether he takes the shot or he passes it off to Anthony Davis for an open shot. Whatever happens there, I trust in LeBron in those situations because he's done it throughout his entire career. But for the most part, I probably want LeBron taking it. You want your best player to take the final shot. And as of right now, LeBron James is still the best player in the world, in my opinion. All right, the Wizard of 1998 is the last question for tonight. Dwight Howard has been great. Give that man his props. So has Danny Green. I did give Dwight Howard his props. He has done exactly what anybody's ever wanted from him. He got 6 rebounds in the first game, 7 rebounds tonight. He only gets a couple of points. He's putting in the work with his free throw shooting. He's doing what he needs to do. It's kind of what we were sold on for him. Why we were actually people were actually wanting Dwight Howard. I was against it, but if he does this, I'm fine. Give me 5 points and 7 rebounds with 2 blocks and 2 steals and 2, 3, 4 offensive rebounds. Fine, great, all for it. Donnie Ekbodi, which, fine. You want me to finish off this way, Donnie? I will finish off this way. What can we expect from Showtime Forum this year? That is a fantastic question. Showtime Forum is the place to go to for Lakers content. There is so much happening there right now that is unbelievable. And this is why you come here. You have a post-game show with me, Greg Bergman, who is going to have multiple people on here as well with me. I'm going to bring in guests like Cam Brothers, maybe an O'Shea Jackson Jr. I had Ramona Shelburne on with me last year. I'm going to have people on with me every once in a while, maybe from other sites. Maybe it's Pete Zayas or Aaron Larsoul or Harrison Fagan or guys that you love to hear from that are part of the Laker community. I'm going to have them on here with me at certain times. Plus, you're going to get from Devon Johnson the Showtime report, which I was talking about a little bit earlier. Hysterical. It gives you the entire week's breakdown of what it's going to be. It's a fantastic new thing that we just brought out. Had a couple of episodes. You can go get that right now on Twitter. You can get it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All of it is all there for you to find. Plus, we have a brand new podcast with Nick Hamilton and Chris Camello. The dudes know what they're talking about. They have a great rapport with amongst each other. They talk good, smart basketball. So it's nice to hear that. They know the teams inside and out. It's a very good podcast. You can go find it wherever podcasts are. Go check them out. There's all of that, plus so much more. We're going to have more YouTube content. We're going to be doing a bunch of more scripted stuff. This is going to be the only way that I can put it, and the only way that I think is the right way to put it. Showtime Forum is going to be more like The Ringer than anything else. This is not just going to be a Lakers fan site. It's going to be a site where you're going to want to listen, where you're going to want to see new stuff all the time. We're going to have great things for you in, day out, good videos, original content flowing from Showtime Forum. So be aware, be on the lookout. It's coming. Go check out Showtime Forum over and over again, and you can check it out at theshowtimeforum.com. Everything else is just youtube.com/showtimeforum, instagram.com/showtimeforum, facebook.com/showtimeforum. This is the spot to be for all your Lakers coverage and a ton of original content. So be there. I'm going to be there. Can't wait to for this thing to really blow up this year and for a great regular season for great season for the Lakers. Can't wait to be there. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm going home. I'm not gonna be with you guys on Sunday. I'm gonna see if somebody else will do this for me. I'm gonna try and keep Saturdays and Sundays for my family, but I will be with you every single week and for most games, and definitely back on Tuesday. All right, I'm out of here. Thank you very much for being on the Showtime Forum. I am Greg Bergman, and I'll be back with you on Tuesday. Have a great night, and go Lake Show.